Hey, what's up? Welcome to Renewing the Mind podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raul Sanchez. Today, we're going to do some teaching on anxiety. But first, well, I was a couple minutes late, but we hit this thing off today with no errors, no problems, no difficulties. I got some flashing lights going off, but I'm hoping and praying it should be okay. Maybe just something's plugged in or a battery. Who knows? We're going to give it a shot. Okay, so if you're just joining us, my son, Pastor Tyler Sanchez, and I have this podcast, Renewing the Mind podcast. We've been doing this for about three and a half years, something like that. We just recently hit a thing where we can monetize now. So I think we made like $12. So like no big deal, but this is the process. Like our goal was to get as much information out as often as possible to create like a community of people who have renewed minds. And that's what we're setting out to do. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing. So last week I did a talk on the number one brain hack for depression. So this is the follow-up on that, which is the number one brain hack for anxiety. Okay, so first, what's anxiety? A lot of you guys know anxiety is like a worry or a general fear kind of a thing, but it's more than that. And it's the anxiety is this: it's like a chronic thought that something bad's going to happen in the future, and that I have to go investigate it now, but I can't see the future. So my brain creates a bunch of things that go wrong in my head. And it usually is sparked with what if. So if you are a what ifer, like you always talk about what if this, what if that, what about this, what about that, like you're planning a trip or you're doing whatever. If you're trying to figure out 17 different ways to plan for how this is going to fail, that's anxiety. Okay? That's anxiety. Now, if you just think like, man, I hope today in our game we don't get rained out. That's not anxiety. That's just a statement like, man, I hope we ball out tonight. Okay, that's no big deal. So I don't want you to overthink it. But for those of you who know you have anxiety, once you have that racing thought process where all those thoughts take off, and the Bible says, "As my thoughts multiply about me," okay, as my thoughts multiply about me. What that really means is I have a thought, it sparks another thought, it sparks another. It's just like a landslide of thoughts. And people have this feeling where I'm feeling out of control, not necessarily hyperventilating, but out of control. And like I can't control anything in my life. And then when I normally have somebody write down, hey, do me a favor, write down your anxieties right now, write down everything that you can think of. They get to like 3 or 4 and then they stop. And the reason is once they write them down on paper, they get them off their head, the pressure stops. They're circling, they're multiplying, that all kind of just fades. So I want you to just think about that. That's the anxiety we're talking about, okay? There's a lot of other kind of anxieties. We're talking about just this generalized anxiety right now, and we're focused on what do we do about it, okay? Okay, so the study I mentioned last week, again, I'll bring it up again. It's from the University of Australia, and they talked about the effects of physical activity interventions for improving depression, anxiety, and distress, and overall systematic review. Okay, so there were 97 reviews. They reviewed 97 separate studies. There were 1,039 trials. There were 128,000 people who are participating in this activity, and they studied various people. So healthy adults with diagnosed mental health disorders, namely anxiety, depression, and generalized or psychological distress, and then various chronic diseases that also got pushed into the chronic distress. That's things that they can't control. Okay, so then we're taking a look at today, what exactly does that do for anxiety? Like what's the protocol for anxiety? And there's a couple of things that are pretty cool because some of these are exactly like depression, but then there are also some more that are different. We're going to kind of just analyze that today. Okay. So the first thing we'll talk about is, like I talked about last time, I want to give you the beginning in the end. Okay. So we begin with the end. So what I want to do is give you the end result so you know. So if you're listening and you can listen for a few minutes, this is the protocol. Okay. The protocol for anxiety is the best mode of what activity to do is strength-based workout. So using weights and in particular using resistance training. So that's the thing I want you to think about when you think about what I can do for a workout. I can lift weights, lift them slowly, do curls slowly, count up 4 seconds, count down 4 seconds slowly. And it's more important about your form and routine because what you're doing here is you're stressing out your body by keeping the tension on your muscle longer. Okay. So strength-based activities, that's number one. Number two, what mode? So there's high intensity, there's moderate intensity, and low. Hip, hip, hooray. It's not high intensity. For anxiety, the mode is strength-based, but the intensity now is moderate. Moderate. So we're going to go in the middle. So if you're using a heart rate monitor or something like that, you can kind of look at correcting your heart rate monitor to make sure that you're in your zone of medium. So mine will go from light, so like green, yellow, orange, red. And so my moderate would be in the orange. So if you can take a look at something like that, that's easy. Otherwise, you can find a heart rate calculator and you can push up to 80% max of your heart rate and then just hit there and last, stay in there a couple minutes, then come back out of it and hit there again. You don't have to stay there very long. This is really interesting. We're going to get back to this a little bit, but how come not high intensity? We'll get back to that here in a little bit. Okay. The next part is weekly. How many minutes should you accumulate weekly to help treat anxiety? And the answer is less than 150 minutes a week, which is really good. Okay. Now, remember, I mentioned this last time too, and I mentioned it again. For somebody who doesn't have anxiety or depression, they're just looking at longevity. Like, what's the best thing I can do for overall health for my life? That number is 150 minimum. So that person's going to work out more because they're looking for a longevity push. Like, they want to look young longer. So that fountain of youth is 150 minutes plus. Okay. Right now we're talking about anxiety and how do I stop my racing thoughts? And the answer is weights-based exercises, moderate intensity, less than 150 minutes per week. And the session time on this one was between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. So if you hit 30 minutes, boom, you're done. If you want to, some days you feel it, go 33, go 39. Okay, boom, you're good. But you can go all the way up to 60. For me, I'm like slow to warm up with workout. So I'm not really excited about it up front. But once I start, like I can easily work out for like 2 hours, 3 hours. Like I can go a long time. So for me, like this study would slow me down. For other people who try to do like maybe 15 minutes, the study is going to speed you up a little bit to get into that 30-minute window to push yourself. Okay. Less than 30 minutes, unfortunately, to settle down anxiety, less than 30 minutes didn't do much at all. It really was a null effect. So not a lot of activity there. So here's my point. If you're going to get dressed, you're going to head to the gym or you're going to lay down your mat, you're going to start doing some squats. Like the thing that I want you to think about is if I'm going to do this, I better break that 30-minute window because I want the actual benefits of having alleviated anxiety symptoms. Okay. And then the duration is 12-week program is the best duration. So 90 days. There is also a program where you can do up to 23 weeks, that 12 to 23 weeks program, that moderate longer program, 12 to 23 weeks. That was second place. It was tied actually with the 90-day program. But as those of you know, like I love the 90-day program. When we do a 90-day challenge that's like launched by Renew the Mind or something, or if I personally do a challenge, it's typically 90 days because it takes like 63 days, literally 63 days to build a habit. So you can stop at day 64, but it just solidifies it longer if you go 90 days. And now it's backed up by the research. Yee! You can smile. I do get some things right once in a while, especially like that egg burrito, bro. That hits different when I make it. All right. I always tell my kids I'm gonna have a taco truck and just serve egg burritos. Like that's it. Okay. So let me review real quick for you. Strength-based, okay? Moderate intensity, less than 150 minutes. The perfect timing would be 30 minutes, but you can work up to an hour. And then you want to go 12 weeks or 90 days on the program, okay? That's anxiety. So very good. So that program is very similar to depression, except depression, to treat depression symptoms, you want to go high intensity. And with anxiety, moderate intensity. So why? Take a thought, one quick thought, just take a deep breath and say, okay, for depression, why do we want high intensity? And for anxiety, why would we want moderate intensity, like in the middle? Any thoughts? I think you got it right. The reason is people are stressed out already. Why would you want to panic somebody by going high intensity? Like if you're already stressed, you're already anxious, going high, going fast, it's going to make you feel like you're having a panic attack or something, right? So the research says people settle down better and their symptoms recover better when they go moderate intensity. So here's what I want you to think about. When somebody has those thoughts, like my anxious thoughts circle about me and they're putting me in a state of emotional panic, not a physiological panic disorder. We're not talking about panic disorder, but just an emotion like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like I'm just overwhelmed. I can't function. Like just mentally stressed out, what you could do is go grab some weights and start doing some squats. Like if you just had a kettlebell and you start just rocking some squats, like you put this kettlebell between your legs and you literally just do, let's just say 50 squats, like if you can do that many. Okay. And then you check your heart rate and you just look at yourself and just ask yourself, hey, how am I feeling? Typically people go, yep, nothing. Correct. Well, now keep doing something like that and keep moving. And as you're processing through that, you get your full 30 minutes. Now, this is interesting. Okay. Most people try to exercise and they start to have these panic symptoms again, the thoughts that race around their mind, and they say, dude, I can't work out. It makes my symptoms worse. And initially the answer is yes, because when I started doing workouts, this workout program I'm doing right now, it starts with squats. So as soon as I start squatting, I literally can't breathe because like I'm pushing myself to go up. It's like climbing stairs. So you start to get out of breath. But if you hang in there, your alarm system in your brain settles down and you don't think you're dying anymore. Initially, it's like, oh no, what just happened? Settle down, everybody chill out. But you still keep on the squats. You still keep on the squats. You still keep on the squats. What happens is your brain has to go, hey, look, Sanchez is fine, but I'm not. He's fine. We're not. I'm fine. Okay, wait, I think I'm better. Okay, wow, that's settled. And all of a sudden there's this calm that comes over you. Now, it's not necessarily easier, but you're no longer panicking like you're breathing, and you'll see that. Now, there's a thing where there's stress zone. Like if I get my heart rate up to here and I start to feel like I'm going to like collapse, right? That's a problem. So now if I just go, hey, I can't work out. I tried it. It doesn't work for me. Now what's happening is because I panicked here, the next time I work out, it's going to start to panic here because the alarm's going to hit a little sooner just to warn me. Now, we don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward, which means if I start to do workouts in that first 4 minutes, I start to panic and I feel like I'm going to start to hyperventilate. If I just take a set break, come back and push it, I'm going to reset this stress zone so I can get a little higher before I start to feel stressed out, right? And then maybe in 2 weeks later, I can push it up again and push it up again. Now, this is called stress inoculation. It's literally like if I just took a needle and I just pump myself and I just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to inoculate myself from stress. So I'm going to take an immunity, take a shot. And now for the rest of the day, I'm not going to be that anxious. That's exactly what you're doing. You're going to inoculate yourself from the stress based on your workouts. Okay. So that's what I want you to focus on is what can I do to decrease my anxiety symptoms? This is not a podcast to try to tell you to get off your medicine. This is not a podcast to tell you, hey, dump your doctor or nothing like that. No, obviously stay on your medicine, check with your doctor and say, hey, here's this protocol. I want to see if I can do it with my medication on board. As you start to do it, the goal would be to check back in and be like, hey, can we try to decrease the dose and then try to see if we can go on a half dose or a quarter of the dose and see if you can come off the medicine to see if you can stabilize it with that. Now, obviously, just like the medicine, I take the dose in the morning every day. That's going to inoculate me from my stress. If I'm not going to take the medicine, I have to work out every day. And so people that I work with personally, they do have a combination of taking the medicine and some workout, but they're on a lower dose. And this is up to you and your physician, your prescriber to say, hey, what can we do to make sure that we get the system dialed in? Because I want you to have a system where you can work out to work it out. Does that make sense? I'm going to work out to work out my symptoms. Now, what's really cool is I push my symptoms up to here. Sorry, let me say this again. I push my exercise up to here, my stress zone. And now during this time, I'm coming back down a little bit. I feel a really, really sense of calm. And this is the part where the payoff is on the workouts. This is just to push me to say, hey, look, I can handle a lot more emotionally than I think I can. And then this right here is where you feel ease, this sense of like life is okay. I can tackle it. I can do it. I am more than a conqueror. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This is where we're trying to get you to. Okay. So I hope this is making sense to you. Now, I want you to think about this. The number one thing that triggers people when they start to get anxious is that, oh no concept. Like, oh no, I'm starting to feel that way. Oh no, I have that sensation. Oh my, like this is terrible. Okay. And before they can do anything else, like, how can I go work out, bro? I can't even focus. I get it. So here's what I want you to do. What's going to get you from having some of these panic symptoms or some of these anxious symptoms to get you to work out is to do this. I want you to take a pen and you're going to write down all the stressors that you have on a piece of paper. And then you're going to turn the page and you're going to just do some deep breathing for a second. Okay. And this is a different kind of a breathing, but it's just the box breathing. And what the box breathing is going to do is just help you focus. So if you think about the box, okay, I'm going to inhale for 4 seconds. I'm going to hold for 4 seconds. I'm going to exhale for 4 seconds. I'm going to hold for 4 seconds. I'm going to do that 3 times, 4-second box breathing, and that's going to actually tighten up your focus to help you actually stabilize. And then on the second page where it's blank, take one more big inhale, exhale, and you're going to write down, now what am I worried about? Okay. And whatever you're worried about, you're going to do that again. If it's a long list, repeat the box breathing 3 more times, turn the page, try again. And what you'll see with 3 times, that's the max you'll have to do it. You'll see that the anxiety pieces won't be so big, won't be so important to you. Now you can reset. Maybe there's 3 things on that list. And then you think, okay, before I push in to tackle some of these, I'm literally going to work on dropping these down by exercising. Okay. So now go do your 30-minute exercise, right? You follow the anxiety protocol. You come back up, protein shake, drink, water, whatever you want to do. And then look back at your list and ask yourself a question. Which one is the top priority out of those top 3? And now make some movement, right? Now, what's really cool is Andrew Huberman. He is a neuroscientist from Stanford. He has a podcast. I think it's called the Huberman Lab, if I'm not mistaken. They had a podcast on, and they've actually published a couple studies with one of his research students, who I think is graduating with her PhD, something like that. Maybe she has a PhD. I don't remember. But what's really cool about it is they found out that literally in the middle of your anxiety, when you're starting to feel flooded, when you're starting to have this oh no moment, one of the fastest things you can literally do is go walk. Go outside and walk. Now, while you're walking, it's very difficult for that racing mind to start to multiply. What you'll find is there'll be a few thoughts in there that kind of stagnate, that kind of hang around a little bit, like they're not really wanted. But it's literally impossible to stay in that mode that you were in, because just by walking, your cerebellum is moving and you're kicking out some ideas, and you're not so frustrated by sitting and thinking. The idea that everything is falling on me and everything is coming upon me, and I'm so stressed out about everything, and oh no, oh my word. You're making yourself multiply panic thoughts just by thinking. And their lab found out, and it's very, very significant, that if you just take a walk, it literally mutes the ability to panic or have worry. And so that's a quick one. Okay. So now we've given you 3 things you can do when you're in the middle of facing a lot of anxiety. You're in the middle of facing a lot of panic thoughts. Okay. You can actually write down the list and then just take the list, push it aside, go work out. Option 2 is you can write down the list and you still feel overwhelmed. There's no sensation of relief. Hey, I put 20 things on the list and there's no relief. Okay, so step 2 now is the box breathe, and you rotate through that 3 times. And then you make a second list and see if that list shuts down significantly, like let's say down to 3. Now you work out, or repeat, re-rinse, and try again. And now Andrew, Huberman Lab, they've got a third one, which is to take a quick walk, a brisk walk, let's say, 10 minutes, just down somewhere and back, 5 minutes down, 5 minutes back. Now, when you come back in, hopefully now you can engage in some exercise, because that is the thing that will sustain you the longest. And remember, according to their study, according to their research, it beats medication alone. It meets therapy alone. I don't know if they did therapy with medication. Maybe they have it a different study that they'll bring out. But therapy with medication is usually pretty strong. But in their studies, the exercise beats them in the long term. Now, again, I don't want you to jump off your meds. I don't want you to, fire any physicians. I want you to go to them and say, hey, here's a cool study. I want to also implement this into my toolbox, into my repertoire of how I battle anxiety. Okay, so now we're just giving you another tool. So that's that part. Now, the idea about exercise is this. Once you start to work out, okay, once you start to get in the hang of it, there is a principle that I need you to understand. The rule of thirds, okay? The first part of people who work out, like, they don't feel anything, just pain. And then after they work out and they shower or they have a protein shake or something, they're still feeling sore. And then after that, they still say, yeah, not feeling it. Number one, I don't see any results. Number two, I just feel pain. The idea is they're not there yet. Like, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Your body's not going to be sculpted in a day, and neither is your brain going to be healed in a day or fixed, right? Or slowed down, right? Or better or renewed is the word we would say. Now, I want you to focus on this. Step two, or stage two, I should say. These people have been working out for a while, so they're more of they're not a novice anymore. They're more of intermediate. This would probably be me, and I start to feel pretty good about exercise. Really, in the beginning of exercise, like while I'm working out, I promise you, I probably procrastinate just as much as everybody else. I got my shoes on, I got my stuff, I got my gear, my watch is turned on, like I got my headphones, like, and I go down to the basement. First thing I do is I turn on ESPN. I just want to see if there's a game on. I want to catch a score or something. And sometimes I'll mute it and work out while it's on if it's a good game. But sometimes it's just 15 minutes of procrastination. I'm just telling you. So I'm not hoorah. There's nothing there. Now, 7 minutes into my workout, I'm a different beast. Like it's different. Okay. So that's this person. But you've been working out for a while. So you're an intermediate. The third person is going to be the person who literally, when they think about workouts, they're already jacked. They're like dancing and singing. They're all pep talking you and they're all like hype. This is the person, like even dudes like me go, dude, chill out, bro. Like really. Okay. Because they're a little annoying, right? Now during the workout, I'm like, yeah, what's up, bro? Let's go. Okay. Chest bump and all that. But before the workout, I'm not there yet. So here's my point to you. If you're a novice or you're an intermediate, don't feel so bad. The whole idea is we got to get better and better and better. Just like everything in life, even the bad things, there's a thing called tolerance. You build a tolerance for it. You build an appetite for it. You can handle more of it, more pressure, more pain, more of intensity, more workouts. The goal is this. When you start here, you're not looking at the pain. You're looking forward to that 90 days. And the answer for you is, man, oh man, how am I going to feel after 90 days of this? How am I going to look after 90 days of this? How's my anxiety going to be crushed after 90 days of this? How many symptoms will I have left after 90 days? How will I be able to manage myself? Will I be able to speak up in class? Will I be able to raise my hand and volunteer to go up front? Hey, that presentation I have, I'll volunteer for it and I'll just dominate it. Where are you going to be at with your anxious thoughts? That's the key. The key isn't like, hey, I want to be on ESPN and I want to be so buff that blah, blah, blah. The key is I want to be better at managing me so that I don't have to depend on everybody else around me. Okay, think about it. Anxious people depend on everybody else. Like, oh, I just don't know if I can do this. Friend says, oh, honey, you're going to be great. You're going to do it. You're going to kill it. Or somebody says, oh, man, I just don't know, man. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it. I'm just not that guy, And then somebody's like, bro, you got this. Like, you know what? Okay, so a lot of us depend on some of that. We want some accolades. We want some reassurance. We want some confidence from other people. And that's because most likely you're anxious about some things. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're not wasting so much anxiety, so much energy on the focused thoughts in the future, how much can you spend on you? And that's a lot, right? That's a ton. Like this is so much better. Now, here's one more thing I want you to think about. I've heard this before, and I don't remember who said it, but anxiety is like paying a future debt today. Think about that, right? So like, what if your kid's going, like your kid just graduated high school right now? Boom, May, congratulations, woohoo, toss the hat. Then you get a bill from, university, whatever. And, and for this year's tuition, it's $18,000. Would you just go pay that bill all right now? Just write a check today? Even if you could, even if you had that cash in your bank account, you're just like, yeah, I'll just write a check today. Most people are going to be like, no, bro, I'm going to put that money to work. That money's going to work for me. And I'm going to pay monthly payments. I'm going to stretch that thing out because that money's got to work. I can make some interest on that money. That money can make money, right? It's stupid. You wouldn't want to pay that whole bill all right now. That'd be dumb. Now, why would somebody who has anxiety look ahead and just write a check for that bill, that worry right now? That's anxiety. Okay. Another way we say it typically is like, you can't really see it here, but like if I put a shadow on take a look. See, you can see a little shadow here. Let me do a bigger one. So if you look at the table right here, you can see there's a small little shadow. Okay. So if I live in the shadow, so I'm right here, that's literally me living in the present day. Like right now, I'm living in the now. So like today's here. And as time goes, I still live right underneath this. I'm right here. But if I get ahead of it, right, I'm living out here and I expose myself. But here's what's crazy. Today, I'm living here physically. This is the reality. Today is today. But mentally, I'm way out here. So I'm taking all this exposure of the future and I'm trying to eat it and pay for it now. And that's why I'm overwhelmed. But I promise you, workouts have always been my thing to heal, myself from some family bloodline curses. And some stuff that's hit me over the years. And workouts, obviously I was an athlete, so that came pretty easy. It's not so fun to work out and there's no game day, but it is fun to feel amazing. It is fun to have a renewed mind. It is fun to feel like I'm a champion against me, like me versus me. I beat myself yesterday. I didn't take a break during my plank or something. You can think about that. Like, and I look at the watch, like, okay, I beat my record from yesterday. Like, now I'm not always pushing. Some days my wife will tell you, like, my forearm, she'll come in like, were you doing squats? Because that wasn't a squat. I'm like, don't interrupt me. I'm counting. So I'm just saying, I'm not perfect on my form. I'm not always trying to test myself, but I want a renewed mind and I want a sharp mind and I want to be the best I can be. And that's with healthy cells. That's with a healthy brain. That's with a healthy heart. That's with healthy neurons. That's with healthy thinking. The most important thing I want you to remember is you are the boss of your thoughts. Now, when your thoughts start to get around you, here's one more thing you can do. Okay. So you're coming home, you have a busy day, you pop on the couch, you open up some Doritos. I mean, me a few years ago, and you just sit there and you look at the stuff and you're like, man, I got to write some notes. I got to take care of, my work. And you're like, man, I'm just not feeling it. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I can. Da 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 da. Okay. The first thing I want you to ask yourself is this: think of the person who called you the most for advice. Okay. In this case, let's just say it's my son Ty. So Ty calls me and says, Dad, I have a question for you. I just got home from work. I got a lot of paperwork to do. I'm not feeling it. Uh, I mean, do you advise me taking a nap first? Do you advise me just like to call in sick tomorrow? Like, I mean, what's the best protocol? What can I do? Okay. So now the advice I'm going to give Ty, I can give to myself. So I take out a pen and I'm like, definitely don't take a nap. That makes you lethargic. I would say this, like, you have a couple options. One, take a cold shower. Two, just try to just throw some cold water on your face to wake you up. Three, if you have like a non-stimulant, but that pushes you, I mean, the best thing that's kind of close, it's still a stimulant, would be green tea, because green tea has theanine in it. So you get the caffeine from green tea, and then the theanine actually calms your amygdala, so you don't get the jitters with it. So he's like, all right, green tea. All right, now, all right, cool. You take some green tea. That gets you a little bit juiced up, a little bit of caffeine. I hope you can sleep at night if caffeine doesn't wreck you. All right, now, once you do that, here's what I want you to do. Are you motivated by working out first and carrying the momentum into your paperwork? Or would you like to get your paperwork done first so you can just feel relaxed? Like, yes, thank goodness that's off me. That's done. It's complete. And then let's say he says, no, I like to do work first, then work out. Okay, perfect. Then get your paperwork done first while your green tea is up and heavy. And then you can move into your workout. Okay. And this is what I want you to think about. When you're stuck and you're in your spot where you can't move, like, yeah, I get it. Huberman says take a walk, blah. Sanchez says write the list, blah. Do the box breathing. Nope, ain't happening. Okay, then this is your last ditch effort. And the last ditch effort is this: pretend your best boy calls you, your best girl calls you and says, hey, what do I do? I'm stuck. What advice would you give them that normally works for them? Because obviously they're calling you for a reason. If you never had an answer for them, they wouldn't call you, right? And if it never worked, they would bug you. They'd be like, man, that guy's broke. His ideas don't work. Okay, now turn that on yourself. So this is called taking the perspective of the other. I'm going to act like I'm talking to Tyler, and I'm going to act like I'm telling Tyler, and now I'm going to be Tyler, and I'm going to go for it. And once you do that, it shifts you out of your mindset where you're stuck. You're ahead, just we did this, the shadow thing. You're ahead out here. This activity pulls you back in right underneath you. You're here now. It's me versus me, right? This is you versus you. This is you versus your future. This is you versus your past. Just get up and go. I promise you that this research has been around for a long time, like 2006, since I started watching it. It's just getting a bigger, I would say, stage right now. Obviously, there's 97 studies that they reviewed. So there's 97 studies out there that talk about exercise for mental health benefits. Okay, now the last thing I just want to make sure I tell you this. I'm not telling you to get off your medicine. I'm not telling you to fire a doctor. Same thing with the previous video with depression. I am telling you to start to be the person that you want to be. This is you versus you. You got this. All right. All right. Peace. Like always, I always say this, there's 2 times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't. Peace.